Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mono Blue Pauper. My name is Christopher. You can follow us at Maximus Games on Twitter or at Abstract Right. Today our highlight card is Echoing Truth. It's a bounce card that bounces non-land permanents and all other permanents with the same name. It's a clutch card. I run one in the main board and one in the sideboard, so two total. But it's what we're looking at today. This is game one, match one. Looks like I won the die roll, so I'm going to play first. This is a good keepable hand, so I'm going to keep it. So let's take a look at our hand here. We've got a couple islands, a Cloud of Fairies, which plays out good on turn 2, Spell Stutter Sprite, which makes Cloud of Fairies even better, a Bone Splitter, which will help us get there. We've got a Counterspell and a Ninja, so this is an excellent combination of cards. Just based on the opening hand, I feel like I have a good chance of winning, particularly because it looks like we're playing against Hex Chant, which is extremely dangerous if you're not running counter magic, so I'm glad I'm playing the deck I'm playing currently. So we'll untap. And normally I would play out Bone Splitter and attach it, or actually normally I'd keep the Spell Stutter available, but we're just going to see what they do. The dangerous spells in the opponent's deck are the enchantments that have a tendency to wreck you real quick. So we're going to counter things like Rancor or things like Ethereal Armor or anything that'll give him the mana fix he needs. So like that Abundant Growth, that's bad for us because he can add any mana to his mana pool, which gives him access to white for Ethereal Armor. So I'm going to go ahead and Spell Stutter Sprite that because I don't want him drawing a card, and I also don't want him to get his mana fix. And he might get it anyway. He got a Utopia Sprawl, so he's in good shape to move forward. I do have a second counterspell, luckily, for his Armadillo Cloak or whatever he's running on that end, so we'll see here. Now, the danger here is playing out Ninja too early and not having enough land to counter, so I'm just going to drop Bone Splitter, leave 2 mana open, and go in for 2 with my fairies here. Now, once I draw into another land, I can go ahead and confidently bring in Ninja with the Ninjutsu ability, and when they deal damage, you draw a card, so it's pretty good. That I'm not going to counter because it's just a 1/1. What I will counter, however, is anything he tries to put on those guys. So that's fine, he can hit me for 1, I'm not too scared of that. And here probably comes the Rancor, which is not as bad as the Ethereal Armor, so I'm actually tempted to let the Rancor resolve and hold on to my counterspell. So if he plays out Ethereal Armor, I counter it, and he didn't. So he probably doesn't have it. In any event, I can race him with the 4 here with the Bone Splitter, so I think that's what I do. Then again, Delver is a really good way to race him as well, so I think I'm going to play Delver out. That gives me a blocker on the ground, and I still have my counterspell open. I'll play it a little bit more disciplined than attaching Bone Splitter too early. And I think he knows that I have the counterspell, and he's scared to play Ethereal Armor because he doesn't want it to get countered, so we're gonna hold off on the counterspell. He's got 3 cards in hand, probably 2 of them enchantments, maybe a land, but I doubt it. This deck runs very few lands, so So Ancestral Mask, this card is unbelievable. And I mean, obviously I counter it because it's so incredibly powerful. You know, it just is. So he's gonna swing with a Hexproofer. That's actually fine with me. Hopefully we draw into a counterspell here. Brainstorm is great here. I'm gonna go ahead and play out Brainstorm. Try to draw into a counter. That's awesome. Let's see. I'm gonna put a Ninja. On top. Both ninjas on top, actually. And then I'll drop an island and play out another Delver. And I'll go ahead and attack. 4-5. We'll just chip away at him here, bring him down to 11. And the evasion, the flying, makes it really easy to deal damage to this deck, but if he drops something like an Ancestral Mask early in the game, it can wreck you, so that's why we're gonna be real careful. Abundant Growth is fine. That's not what we're too afraid of. I think the higher priority spell to worry about is an Ancestral Mask or an Armadillo Cloak or something like that, so I'm gonna hold off for that. Again, he thinks I'm bluffing the counterspell. I'm not here. So I think he just realized, oh, I made a terrible mistake. So I'm actually gonna block with Delver here. Normally I wouldn't, but I'm gonna block with Delver because it'll kill his dude, and then he has to recast the Rancor, which is one of his 2 cards. Now I go ahead and ninjutsu. And I ninjutsu the Spellstutter Sprite because I'm going to draw a card here, and of course it's going to be Ninja. But now I have another counter spell, so when Rancor, or actually Rancor is fine coming out at this point, I'll let that resolve. What I'm scared of is something big like an Armadillo Cloak where he gains life, or a Ancestral Mask. So those are the 2 spells I'm looking to counter. And he knows I have the Spellstutter Sprite, so he's probably going to play out. Okay. I can't counter it because it's a 3-drop here. That's going to help him a whole lot. But it won't help him quite enough. Because, again, I mean, he's got a Rancor in hand. So if he survives the next turn, let's do the math here. 3, 4, 5, 6, but this won't get through because he's got a blocker. And then 7, 8 for the Bone Splitter. So I think I counter the creature at this point. That gives me a little bit of leverage. That makes it impossible for him to attack, basically. He's gonna attack anyway. I wouldn't have if I was hitting. So he goes up to 8, but now I've got lethal on board. So go ahead and equip Bone Splitter to Cloud. I have lethal here, so, and he's all tapped out. And normally I wouldn't do this, but just to put a cherry on top of it, I'm going to ninjutsu my Spellstutter Sprite again. And that deals him damage, and I get the double trigger. So anyway, that's game 1. Thank you for joining me. Please join me for game 2 as well.